I've found in my life that, and I've met some pretty horrifying people, but they don't think they're horrifying, you know. They're doing the best they can to get by, you know. The fact that you know, they don't sleep at night and they have to take a lot of drugs and alcohol and cigarettes to suppress their conscience, but never, if you were to ask them, they would say, "Boy, I'm just trying to get by. I'm, you know, looking after my family, trying to feed my dog, you know." So that's the way in which I didn't see anything bad about Wilson at all. I think Wilson is just like, he's trying to kind of resolve this sense of injustice that he feels, and he's just, people get in his way. It's just neither here nor there. Steven Soderbergh, you don't discuss much with him at all, but he, like all great artists, he's highly developed intuition, the way that Weiler was developed, the way that Fellini was developed, the way that Ustinov was developed. It's not necessary for them to tell you what they want. The fact that they've cast you, you know you are what they want. You know, I am his first choice for this. This is a real film, you know. This is not a movie, you know, it's not a sequel, it's not going to have 4 written after, it's not going to be the limey 4, you know. It's a real film, it's what film should be. It's made by, it's been invented and inspired by a group of wonderful people who love what they're doing, and this is why I became an actor.
For the last 3 weeks, I've been playing a woman who's very self-deprecating, who puts herself down at every turn. She does it in a very funny, very smart, very witty way, but she's constantly putting herself down. She has obviously low self-esteem, masked by a kind of intelligence and cynicism. But she's not bitter, and she is wounded. And by the 3rd week of playing her, I felt real uncomfortable. I felt very emotional, very weepy, you know. I found myself kind of close to tears in more than one scene. I'm so thrilled to be working with Steven Soderbergh. I mean, it is such, you know, I love his movies. I think he's a true artist and has tremendous vision, great style. And as far as now being directed by him, it's so joyful. He's not intrusive, but he knows exactly what he wants, and I think I love that, because it makes me feel secure that when he's not saying anything, you know, I must be on the right road. And the fact that he doesn't use a video monitor, I mean, it's rare today.
The part was written for me, and I didn't realize that it was going to be Steven Soderbergh. I realize now that it was Soderbergh, and he's been with this script for almost 5 years, working it. And a director like Steven, when they're going to be with a story, a script that long, has to have some passion in there for it. And so that is enticing. And I just had to do some small changes to make Terry Valentine a little more available and acceptable at the top of the film. So we make the arc to where you think, man, this guy deserves to be drowned. But look, we don't have to do it. He's drowning himself for the rest of his life. It's a nice arc to follow. I want a director who's watching the work on the set, who feels as comfortable as he can with his own cameraman, to know that they're going to get what he wants. In fact, Steven operates for himself, and I like that a lot. You know, whatever the rules are, you know, do you think Picasso said, whoa, I can't use red here, the rule is you go to green after you use blue? No, there are no rules for it. So it makes an actor like me feel very confident when a director who doesn't have to watch a video terminal to see it's happening, but can stand next to the camera, or in fact operate the camera, with his eye on the ground glass, and whose eye better than the man who's going to edit the film. I'm basing my part, or not totally, but fractionally, marginally, taste-wise, vibe, on part of Bert Schneider and part of Lou Adler. And I think that Terry Valentine understands something's gone down that's bad and doesn't really accept it as his not necessarily doing, but his responsibility. And until Terrence Stamp's character, Wilson, forces him to face it.
I love working with Steve. He's real easygoing, fun. He's really loose. And I just kind of know that in that brain of his, you know, he's kind of just mapping out this whole course. So it's good for me because it's like I just show up and I do my thing, and, you know, I just enjoy working with Steve. Ed is, he's this guy that he's been around the block a few times, definitely. And I guess he goes through whatever changes of going through jail and trying to get his life back on track and trying to keep straight and trying to stay away from all the negative elements that got him in jail the first time.
Adhara is having, she's young. She's just having a blast with this older man. He's sexy and he's rich, and he's you know, he's everything that, you know, growing up, I had imagined her father and her mother had a lot of money, and that's just something that she, you know, felt that she wanted to be a part of, you know. And with all the glamorous people and the parties and the... Working for Steven this is only my third day, but I was telling a friend of mine that it's really the most, well, in my short experience, pleasant experience that I've had so far, because he just knows when he sees something, and then he takes it and he puts it on slaps it on the film, and then, you know, we go on to the next thing. He's very quick, and he just knows he's got the best eye. He's got a really good eye, and he knows when he's got it.
The protagonist / hero, I don't know that I think in terms of heroes, is this character Wilson, who's spent most of his life in prison in the UK, and has a daughter who he hasn't seen probably in 10 or 12 years. And when she's killed under somewhat mysterious circumstances in Los Angeles, he comes to see if he can get some answers. This is a guy who has fairly definitive ideas in his head when he shows up. And the movie is really, to me, about how those ideas are made more complicated as he gets more information, as he meets more people. The Limey, like a lot of the films I've made, doesn't fit precisely into one category. On the one hand, it's sort of a revenge movie, a crime drama, and on the other hand, it's not. And the way in which the movie plays with time and memory is not normal for this genre. It has a very fluid sense of time. It moves forwards and backwards a lot, totally motivated by where the characters are emotionally. And sometimes we see things again as we get more information, and they're different than when we saw before. The memory changes. If there are buttons to press, I don't know where they are. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you're just trying to get something across that somebody watches and says, I understand that, I've felt that before. And it's that simple.
Steven, no matter what he makes, is an interesting filmmaker. And I think that not only people who are fans of his kind of work are going to come to be surprised, but I think people that are not yet exposed to Steven are going to come and be interested in what this film is. It's a very exciting film. There's a lot of energy. It's an interesting story, and the acting is fabulous.
Another thing about Stevie is, as he's going along, we're not always quite sure exactly what he has in mind in a particular scene, and that he uses things that occur during the filmmaking to create yet something else beyond what maybe even was planned originally.
In this film, I've definitely noticed that he's allowing it to be organic. He's allowing what occurs to be used, rather than him enforcing a specific vision or will. He's letting it grow on its own. And I think as a writer and as a writer and an editor, particularly, he's comfortable with that, in that he knows the story and he trusts his talent to be able to portray that, but also bring their own vision and qualities to that part. And as an editor, he'll go back and he'll reconstruct it in some manner.
Tráilers, visita mi canal. Podcast.